Alright, Chapter 6. Chapter 6. Rules and functioning operation of air brake and locomotive equipment. Standards and air pressure. The air pressure regulating device on the locomotive of the cars must be adjusted to the following standard pressure. Major reserve rate and switch, maximum 130 psi, maximum 140 psi, maximum reserve passenger 130 psi, maximum 140 psi. Brake pipe yard surface 80 psi, standard psi 90 psi, main grade 100 pound or more per operative brake 100 psi. Help surface the terrain with in or on the rear train of the local no restricting train with the rear may adjust the regulating valve with the 10 psi or less than the brake pipe setting with the train being handled. Independent brake cylinder pressure freight locomotive within the cast iron brake of the sheave with 45 psi with the composition brake shoes 72 psi. Switch locomotive with the 9-inch brake cylinders of 45 psi, 10 to 11-inch brake cylinders 35 psi. Foreign line locomotives may be different, but the main reserve independent brake cylinder pressure those with different pressure than permissible. However, the crews must be aware of their presence and the locomotive brake the cylinder pressure accordingly. Rule 6.2 air compressor. A 3-cylinder, 2-stage oil lubricated with water air cooled old compressors used to compress air for the brake system. Air operated with the device and locomotive units and trains. So the unloading valve regulates the pressure for the main reserve. There are two main reserves that are used to cool and store the compressed air and the two trap moisture and dirt. The compressed air for the main reserve that's piped with an automatic brake valve and other air operated devices. Independent brake valve operating over the independent brake valve. The independent brake valve operates the locomotive brake, the direct main for the reserve through the reducing valve, through the J relay valve to control the main reserve air from the brake cylinder down the locomotive. The independent brake valve has two positions: release position and application zone position. The further independent brake valve is moved toward the application zone with the position of the greater application pressure to release the locomotive brakes to allow the train brakes to remain applied with after an automatic brake application depressing independent brake valve handle the release position. This is known as actuating, but must be done 4 seconds per to the locomotive. If the independent brake valve is depressed within the application 1, the brake cylinder pressure will correspond with the position of the handle. Independent brake cutout valve. The independent brake cutout valve is used to cut in or cut out the independent brakes. It has two positions. In position, the position is used to cut in independent brake. And your independent brake cutout valve out position is used to cut out the independent brake. Rule 6.4, 26C automatic brake valve. The automatic brake valve quadrant has the 6 position name of the function as each of the positions is release position is located to the extreme left of the quadrant and with the charge of the air brake system. Release automatic brake application minimum reduction position located against the first raised position of the release position used to obtain the surface of the brake pipe reduction of 6 to 8 psi. Surface position is not extended to the right of the minimum reduction position of the quadrant just shorter than the second raised portion. The farther the handle is moved into the surface zone, the greater will be the brake pipe pressure reduction, such which is controlled by the equalizing reservoir. Suppression position is located against the second raised portion of the use of the recovery penalty brake application. Continuous surface position is located under the opening of the permits removal of the handle and is the position where the brake pipe pressure will be reduced to 0 at the surface rate. Emergency position is located with the extreme right of the quadrant used for making an emergency brake application where the brake is cut in or cut out. Alright, 26C brake equipment automatic brake valve handle position. Release, initial reduction, application zone servicing, suppression, handling off, and emergency. Your regulating valve automatic brake valve cutout valve. Rule 6.2.6.5, the 3A brake valve. This brake valve assembly figure 6.2 is found on locomotives having the North American cab desktop control system. Automatic brake valve is located on the left side of the assembly. Independent brake valve is located on the right side of the assembly. Or the 3A brake valve assembly. Automatic brake valve 1 through starts at 8 and 1 release minimum. Reduction 3, service valve, zone 4, service full, service 5, suppression 6, handle off 7, emergency, independent brake valve, and your actuating bulk, quick release, full application release. Alright, the automatic brake valve quadrant has 6 portions. The name of the function of each of these position. Release position is located with the extreme back of the quadrant. The use of the charge of the air brake system relieve the automatic brake application. Minimum reduction position located the first notch position for the release position to obtain a surface brake reduction of 6 to 8 psi. Surface position extends for the minimum reduction position for the quadrant just for the second notch position farther for the handle is moved in the surface zone away from the engineer. The greater the brake pipe reduction, which is controlled by the equalizing reservoir. Full surface position is indicated by the second notch of the quadrant. Your suppression position is located in the notch position and is used to suppress and recover from the penalty brake application. Continuous service position is located in opening and it permits removal of the handle of the fourth notch position. The position of the brake pipe pressure will be reduced to zero at the service rate. Emergency position is located in an extreme forward position. Quadrant U to make an emergency brake application whether the brakes or valve is cut in or cut out. Rule 6.6, automatic brake valve cutout valve. The cutout valve has three-position handle of the valve must be depressed before changing one of the three positions, the name of the function, each of the position. Position and the position communication between the brake valve and the brake pipe cut. The position is used for the crate and check the brake pipe leakage. The freight position, the position is used for the locomotive assigned to the freight service. And passenger position, used for the locomotive assigned with the passenger service when equalizing reserve leakage develops and operating within the freight service. Rule 2.5. Warning, the automatic brake valve cutoff valve must not be changed unless the brake valve handle is in the release position when the automatic brake valve application has been made. If any of the cutoff valves in the pass position, any of the moves of the brake valve handle toward the release position will result in an undesired release of the brakes on the freight train. Rule 6.7. Self-lapping feature. The self-lapping feature automatically maintains equalizing reservoir pressure for the automatic brake valve cutoff valve with the release of the firm freight position with the brake valve handle. The release position of automatic brake valve cutoff valve is the passenger position. Equalizing reservoir pressure is maintained corresponding to the position of automatic brake valve handle where it releases the position in the service zone. Rule 6.8, equalizing reservoir. The equalizing reservoir is a small reservoir which acts as the reference volume between the position of the automatic brake valve handle and the brake pipe pressure. The relationship is established through the relay valve diaphragm. The reservoir is the diaphragm and the part of the automatic brake valve are cut into the control locomotive and the multiple unit locomotive consistent during the brake pipe charging within the automatic brake valve handle. The release position, the high pressure of the equalizing reservoir forces the diaphragm piston assembly to the right and open up supply, which allows the main reserve airflow to flow into the brake pipe. The brake pipe pressure is raised to the low level of the equalizing reservoir, at which time the relay valve of the diaphragm piston assembly are moved to the left, closing off the supply of the main reserve air to the brake pipe. The application of the automatic brake is made, then moving the automatic brake valve handle away from the release position. Equalizing reservoir pressure is reduced to the corresponding amount. The equalizing reservoir pressure is reducing the relay valve always to the brake pipe air to exhaust the level of the equalizing reservoir. 6.9c, Rule 6.9, relay valve. The relay valve is an integral part of the 26C and 30A CDDW automatic brake valve operating whenever the brake pipe pressure falls below the pressure in the equalizing reservoir. With the automatic brake valve cutout valve of the freight and passenger position, brake pipe pressure is maintained against the leak. This action relay valve is known as maintaining the feature. Rule 610, 24RL air brake equipment. This automatic brake valve quadrant has 6 handle positions. The name of the function are each of the position. Release position with the feed valve, the air is supplied with the brake pipe, which charges with the brake pipe to setting the feed valve. Thus, the release position charges the brake pipe at the same rate as the running position. In this position, the feed valve is supplied with the brake pipe and will charge with the brake of the setting of the feed valve. The running position charges with the brake pipe is used for releasing the engine train brakes. Without brake valve is not being used, the brake valve handling the position pressure maintaining position. The position for the preparing maintaining only the service brake right direction made with the service position. The brake valve handle must be removed. The pressure maintaining position while the air exhausting surface is off the port. Do not pause the lap position. The brake valve handle must not be moved from the pressure of the maintaining position to the running position of the lap position back to the pressure maintaining position. More than one service application can be made with the moving the brake valve handle from the pressure maintaining the position service position with a retainer directly to the pressure maintaining position. Alright, your lap position. Brake pipe pressure will be maintained against the leakage when the brake valve handle is in the position. All operating ports are closed with all the position resulting in brake pipe leakage will cover the engine and train brake that applies. Position used primarily for the recovery penalty brake application testing amount of leakage in the brake pipe. Service position. The positions allow the feed valve of the air supply of the brake pipe to be cut off with the equalizing reservoir exhaust to the atmosphere through the preliminary exhaust actuating equalizer. Discharge of the exhaust brake of the pipe of the air corresponding amount through the discharge valve of the rotary valve exhaust and service rate. Emergency position. The position allows the passage to connect to the provided large direct exhaust passage from the brake pipe to the atmosphere with the produced emergency rate with the brake pipe reduction. Or your 24RL brake equipment valve handle. You have your release, your running, your maintain, your lap, your service, and your emergency position. Multiple unit hoses. The locomotives designed with the multiple unit hoses are equipped with multiple unit hoses at each end identification function and normal pressure each of the hoses are shown in figure 6.4. Alright, you have your brake cylinder equalizing app on the far left side actuating and main reserve equalizing to the third, then a brake pipe, and then a multiple control train line receptacle. The diagram shows two-unit locomotive consisting of the multiple hoses correctly coupled again. Angled cocks, open cocks, cut out cocks, properly positioned for the operation of hoses that may be coupled on both sides or drawbar. Alright, multiple hose hose number 1, main reserve. The hose connects all the main reserve of the locomotive consists normally it contains the air pressure of 130 to 140 psi. And multiple hose number 2, actuating, directs the air from the controlling locomotive with the units of the independent brake valve to the quick release portion of each unit of the respective control valve, causing the release of the locomotive brakes that apply to result of the automatic brake application. Normally it contains 0 psi when the independent brake valve handle is not depressed. When the handle is depressed, the pipe is charged with the main reserve pressure of 130 to 140 psi. Multiple unit hose number 3, application release brake cylinder equalizer, equalizing direct air for the control locomotive using independent brake with J relay valve with each of the unit with the control locomotive brake cylinder pressure. Normally it contains 0 psi with the independent brake valve handle with the function full application position. Pipe is limited to charge to 45 psi. Multiple hose number 4 to turn on the Sanders. Older model locomotive units are equipped with a hose connection. If the equipped with the hose contains 0 psi when the Sanders are not turned on, when the Sanders are on this hose charges you with the main reserve pressure of 130 to 140 psi. Rule 612, dynamic braking is an electrical arrangement used to change everything developed by the momentum of the movement of the train affecting retarding forces. Rule 613, A1 reducing relay valve. The certain long feature of the current car with equipped with A1 reducing valve, relay valve, figure 565, specific the propagation, serve with emergency brake pipe reduction, compensation for the added brake pipe length. A1 reduction relay is completely separate function of the control valve. If the valve should be failed, reset after emergency brake application causing continuous blow at exhaust port. The valve may be plugged and removing the valve protector, screwing in the threaded plug. This shows the A1 reducing valve, the new number 8 vent valve portion pipe bracket, and B1 quick servicing valve brake pipe. Chapter 7, Rules of Airflow Method Indicator Device.